all, welcome all of you. And we are starting with a very special event today. Talk by Professor Balram, and we are all eager to listen to him. And he has been guiding many institutes and many such organizations and helping them with all the aspects related to design education. So we will be looking forward to his talk, and welcome to you, Professor, for this event.
The title of today's talk is Women Pioneers of Indian Design Education. Our distinguished speaker, Professor Balram, is a trailblazer in the field of design education. Professor Balram is a fellow of Royal Society of Arts, England. He is presently the design chair at DOT School of Design and distinguished visiting professor at the Shiv Nadar Institute of Eminence. He belongs to the pioneer group who commenced the design education in India through the National Institute of Design. As the chairman of Design Extension, he was the first to establish design cells all over the country to assist small industries. As an inventor, he was awarded 4 patents for bicycle design. He is the only Indian to be conferred the International Ron-Based Designing for the 21st Century Award. His other awards include the Grand Jury Award for the Best Universal Design Education in the World by the International Association of Universal Designers and Helen Keller Lifetime Achievement Award for Outstanding Contribution for the People with Disabilities. He received the Best Product Design Award from the National Research and Development Council of India. He established Indian government's first Craft Development Institute in Kashmir and was founder of DG Academy of Design in Coimbatore. His publications include Thinking Design, Speaking Design, and Design Approaches. He was a Professor Emeritus of CEPT University and recently has been honored with the title of Design Guru by J.K. Lakshmipat University. He is member of PhD panel NIT, boards of Alakapa University, Jain University, Unapaya University, Indian School of Design, and DOT School of Design. So we would like to invite Professor Balram and for continuing your talk.
First of all, it gives me great pleasure. I deem it an honor to speak to you all. Nothing ever makes me more happier than talking to younger people, because I always consider them the future. And this is my first visit to IIT, and thank you, Deepak, Seema, and all others who made this possible. Otherwise, we first thought of having an online session, but I thought it will be better if it is inaugural. We should have it face to face. Now, before we go to the topic, I have a kind of habit. I have a signature tune, like many good films have a signature tune, which sets up the whole background score. So I also have over the years, when I was given a mic in hand, people expect me to tell a story about my favorite Mullah Nasruddin. This time I picked up a story. It is like this. Mullah is a very poor man. He doesn't have even enough to eat and enough to wear. So one day he was called for a function, so he has to wear a good shirt, not a tattered one. So he borrowed a shirt from the neighbor who is rich. He went, attended the function, and came back, but afterwards he can't give the shirt, dirty shirt now, so he has to wash it. He has washed it and dried it in the courtyard. That day, when the family is about to go to market, the wife suggested, hey, you are keeping it outside in the courtyard, somebody might take it away, something might happen, some cow might eat it away and all that. So Mullah laughed it off and said, all women are like this. They have no brains. So nothing will happen to what will happen to, nothing will happen. The sky is very clear and all that. So let us go and enjoy it outside. It will drive faster, don't you know? So the wife could not say anything. They went. After they came back, the shirt was not there. Because while they were away, there was a big wind, a storm kind of thing, which threw away that shirt to somewhere else. So the wife started weeping. You see, that's a very costly shirt, and how will we pay for it? But Mullah started dancing. He said, oh, how nice, how wonderful, how wonderful. So she's asking, why are you dancing? Is it a happy thing or a sad thing? He said, you foolish woman. Women have no imagination. Imagine, now the wind has come and blown away the shirt. Imagine if I were in the shirt, what would have happened? You would have not have any husband only, no? So, that's about the woman and man, which is the subject for today. You think about it. Women pioneers of Indian design education. There is a disclaimer there if you see my personal experience. So, I am not saying that this is truth and nothing but the truth, but it is my experience and you can take it as my opinion. Before we go further, there is one thing I want to say. I want to dedicate this lecture to Dr. Valiathan, my kind of client and a wonderful client. Normally, every designer hates the client because the client will ask all kinds of brutal questions and in the end, he picks up so many holes in the designs which we present. But there is one man, Padma Bhushan, Dr. Valiathan. We had a wonderful experience, myself, Hemant and the team. When we went there, he was so cordial, so nice. And I was so sad that he left us on 17th July, just 2 weeks ago. So I thought I should dedicate this lecture to him. Because of him, the client participation in the design is very important. All the designers will know that because of his support, we could design world's first triple function oxygenator. This is oxygenator, cardiotomy reservoir, as well as pediatric oxygenator. If you know these medical terms, don't worry about it, but it is a triple function one, and it has got a national award for us. So it's all because of him and not because of our own genius. So I thank him and I pray for his soul. Okay, let's come to the topic. You all must be asking, why women? What about men? I thought, because today wherever I go to various institutions to teach or under whatever capacity it is, as an advisor, as a board member and all that, I always see everywhere, including NID, more girls apply for design overall. But we don't hear many women designers kind of afterwards. What is happening? So I thought we will ask some questions about the male-female kind of idea. And I'm a Hindu, so Hindu culture I know more. So I go into my own culture to ask questions. We all know the Gayatri mantra, which is supposed to be the Bija mantra. It's a Vedic times, even before even the Aryans came. It has come. We all know. Om Bhurpuvashvaha Tat Savitar Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. This is about sun. All that it says is, O Lord, as you illuminate the whole world, whole life, illuminate me today. That's it. That is basically invoking that. It's a sun god. But I have seen umpteen pictures of Gayatri. Gayatri is a female. So I always wondered as a little kid why sun is normally considered male, Surya is a male, and Gayatri is a female. How is it possible? Next. There is another one, it also troubled me. I found. I also see Jesus and many other saints, they all have beard. It's only Indian gods don't have any beard. Except that unworshipped Brahma. But the others don't have beard. And in fact, they have very chubby face like a god. In fact, they play flute, they play things like that. And they have no beard. They're all kind of girlish face. They are not macho, let me say that. Although they wear weapons, but they are not kind of so macho. The other thing is, it is only the Hindu gods are often couples. Radha Krishna, Lakshmi Narayana, Sita Ram, you see, Gauri Shankar, all this. Why is that? Why are always they are coupled? And also if you notice, the lady's name comes first. It's not the Ram Sita, it is Sita Ram. It is not Shankar Gauri, it is Gauri Shankar. It is Radha Krishna, not Krishna Radha. So why? Why is that? So any answers? It is just to provoke you. These questions will churn in your mind and take you somewhere. Any answers from you? Anybody? Guess? You heard of this? Ardhanarishwar. Is it ever possible somebody to have half female and half male? Ridiculous, no? Physically ridiculous, but as an idea it is wonderful. Because what it says is, you must have heard, the Chinese have the concept of yin and yang, and we also have the concept of prakriti and purush. What we say is that every male has a female in him, and every female has a male in him. Otherwise, the Durga, which the Bengalis worship, is so ferocious, it's so manly. But Hinduism, according to me, it doesn't differentiate between the male and female. He said, you see, the whole is made of yin and yang, only then it is a whole. Similarly, you are full only if there is also female. A man is full only if there is a female, and a female is full only if there is a man. So that is how this has happened. So therefore I thought, we hear so much about males, so let us, for a change, talk about females today in this particular lecture. But what is this female I am talking about? Let us see the next slide. The reality is this. Most of it is not that beautiful woman we see, well decked up and well made up on screen, silver screen, but this is the real face of woman. This is Araku Valley last year when I went there in a village. Most of the village women are like that. She must be 101. Something like that, very aged. But she's living. But this is the real face of female in India. So, let us talk about the situation of women because we are all designers. And in design education, what is the role played by the woman? And there are some great women. I picked up some 10 of them. And we will talk about these great women. And they have to be talked about it somehow. This is the history. And we cannot go ahead without looking at our roots. So this is to give you a quick idea of milestones of design education in India, the pre-independence era, which if you see, this is the roots of Indian design education is so almost 200-year-old, 1851 Indian products exhibited at Great Crystal Palace exhibition in London. That is the beginning. At that time, British were ruling us. And then 1961, nationalist of design started. But before that, actually design has already started. Rabindranath Tagore has gone to his Nobel Prize. He won in 1913, and then he came and established Shantiniketan, and afterwards in 1919, 105 years ago, Bauhaus is started in Germany, the most revolutionary design school, after which all the design schools have kind of modeled on Bauhaus. And Rabindranath Tagore, came to India saying that we should have a similar one, not the same one, because what is good for Germany is not good for India. So he said, I will establish an Indian Cultural Center. So at Shantiniketan, he started Vishwabharati, where design, the beginning of the design has happened in 1921, not in 1961, many people wrongly believe. After that, there is another school in 1942 in Bihar, of all the places. We always think that Bihar is the most uneducated, but many wonderful things have started in Bihar. In Patna, another design school has started, Upendra Maharathi, on Silp Anusandhan Samstha. Now, afterwards, since this is not a talk on history of design, I will skip this. We will go to the next one, and we will talk only about the woman. Yeah. This beautiful place is Shantiniketan. This is where Vishwabharati started in 1921 and Shilp Sadhana in 1922, from where Padmini, my wife, has just retired as the head. So this is Tagore believed in openness and with being with nature and learning from nature. He didn't want a classroom to happen in the closed walls. He wanted to be open. He has got different ideas. So his culture is the main thing for him. And he never wanted a university today, but after his death, we made it into Shantiniketan into a university. That's a different story. I'm not going to talk about it. But his idea is this beautiful. And many of the classes used to take place under the tree. What a nice concept. Because India allows that, except in rainy season, other days, India is beautiful sun. We have sun everywhere. Under the shade of a tree, you sit, you get a good breeze, and you've got a beautiful nature all around you. Okay. The very first woman I must say is Stella Kramrisch. I don't know how many people have heard about her. She is from America. She's an American woman. But if there are two names of two scholars who have done wonderful service to Indian art and Indian culture, or one is Anand Kumaraswamy from Sri Lanka, these two foreigners. Another one is Stella Kramrisch from America. She specialized in Indian art. And she happened to come to Shantiniketan. She taught there at Kala Bhavan. Kala Bhavan, part of Shantiniketan. She stayed there for 2 years. But then why is she pioneer? She is pioneer woman because she thought India has such a wonderful wealth of material on aesthetics. She learned Sanskrit because many of them are in Sanskrit, and unfortunately today many of us don't know Sanskrit. Very, very few only know Sanskrit. So she has taken trouble to learn Sanskrit and then translate a wonderful treatise on Indian aesthetics and art and imagery, image making, which only Shilpis used to know. And you know the name of that book? It is called Vishnu Dharmottara. Vishnu Dharmottara is a treatise on how to paint, how to image, how to sculpt, how to do images. Many Sthapatis would know that, otherwise, except this small community, many people don't even know. How many design students heard about this particular book? Not many. Even at NID, after 30, 40 years only, I read about Stella Kramrisch, and I searched, and we finally got this book, English translation. She did a marvelous contribution she translated into English. So today, at least we know English, fortunately, many of us, so we could read that book. So that wonderful work is done by this great lady at Vishwabharati. Not only that, she did some other wonderful things. She brought Bauhaus. I told you about Bauhaus, the great school in Germany, in Weimar. She contacted them and made them bring the exhibition of Bauhaus students' work to India. In Calcutta, there was an exhibition in 1922, which was kind of to inform Indians how great design is and how design can help life being better. So that is about Stella Kramaric. She is unfortunately, even today, I'm talking about in 2024, many students and many design schools, many teachers, design teachers don't know about Vishnu Dharmottara. They must have heard of Bauhaus, I'm sure, but they have not heard of Vishnu Dharmottara. Actually, our saints have actually made it. It is Sage Markandeya. If you have heard the name Markandeya, Markandeya has written this. So, that is about, if you have time, please read this. I have a Xerox copy of this. NID has the original copy of Vishnu Dharmottara. If they allow, go and read that book. Otherwise also, I don't think it's available otherwise, but it's a wonderful thing which Stella Kramaric has done. During the freedom, this is just after freedom. We won freedom in 1947, all of you must be knowing it. Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay, one of the close associates of Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was killed, assassinated in 1948. But Kamala Devi took the same ideas of Mahatma Gandhi. She wanted to improve the life of poor people, poor, particularly women. And where are these poor people? In villages. We are talking about the lunch table. Most of the Indian people are in villages. She said these people have to be improved. So she took to uplift the rural communities. So, and what are the industries available there? Crafts. Craft is one thing. So she is the first woman to document all the crafts. Indian crafts book. That is the first book she has published on Indian crafts. Then she started weaver service centers at various places in the country. And she started Khadi movement and also design centers, regional design centers at all 4 regions of the country. And that is how she has kind of made a big contribution, not the modern design, but old design. Gandhi's idea is not to bring modernism as it is, but to develop the old skills which we have. Those ideas Kamala Devi has taken further, and she has been awarded Padma Vibhushan. The next wonderful woman is Pupul Jayakar. If Pupul Jayakar was not there, NID wouldn't have been there, NIFT wouldn't have been there. The two great, and the IIM also wouldn't have been there. And this photograph I have taken with, why I have taken it with a man? You know that, who is that man? We all should be proud of him. He is an Andhra, he is a Telugu fellow, but he has gone beyond the world. In the world, nobody like him in philosophers, as far as in my view. Jiddu Krishnamurti is the greatest philosopher. Yeah, he just died a few years ago. But she is a follower of Jiddu Krishnamurti. So his ideas she followed. And what she did is, she has been close to Nehru family. That is a blessing. She was close to Jawaharlal Nehru, and also she was almost in friendly terms with Indira Gandhi. So she used that, and she started In New York, there was Indian textile art. She wanted to take Indian art abroad, to spread the Indian art and culture abroad. That has been her main vision. So, during the exhibition of textile art, she met Charles Sims, and then this idea of design coming to this country had entered her brain. She said, "Will you please tell us what kind of design we should have?" It's a wonderful thing. She didn't directly jump and borrowed some curriculum, but she said, "Why don't you come?" So, as Gandhi has said initially himself before he started working in India, the same way he said, "I hardly know about India. How can I, say what kind of design?" So she said, "We will invite you." So the country has invited Charles Sims and his wife James to come to India and go over the country and see what kind of design institute is good for us. So he came. Here I will not talk about Charles Sims, but I will talk about Ray Eames. Ray Eames had come with him. Yeah. Before that. Yeah. This is Indira Gandhi. If Prime Minister takes interest, matters will be different. Indira Gandhi is one such Prime Minister, the only female Prime Minister who had taken keen interest. This is where she is discussing the exhibition project on Nehru's discovery of India with our team, that is Darshit Patel, that is Ray Eames, and other project involved. This is her style. She believed in consultation. The Discovery of India exhibition, now demolished at Pragati Maidan, it has come because of that. Because of that, India got the boost to start design education and NID. But before that, we will see Ray. See, this is Ray Eames. Ray Eames and Charles Sims have visited India, visited all the craft centers, Murdabad, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, and all, and many other Bhuj and all those centers. And they have visited small industry, big industry, all kinds of industries, and finally they have come with a book called India Report. In India Report, there are three things they say. One is we should have lotus of present time. And I will go one by one very, little bit, because otherwise the titles don't say anything. What do you mean lotus of our time? Lota is can we go to the next slide, Siva? This is Lota. Lota is a common object, Chambu. ప్రతి ఇంట్లోనూ చెంబు ఉంటుంది కదా. Every house has a chambu. It's very common thing. But in the India report, Charles Sims actually praises it, spends 2 full pages how wonderfully it sounds, how wonderfully it fits, how ergonomically it fits into the hand, how ergonomically it fits into the hip of a woman. All that. If you see it, he's written almost a poetry about it. And in the end, he says, we should have what kind of design institute we should have? We should have a design institute which produces lotus of India. What does he mean? Can anybody understand what he means? Any ideas? I will tell you. Let's go back. Lotus of present time, that is important. Lota has an identity. Lota has a kind of a strong identity to India. It can't be any other place except India. So what Charles Sims and Ray Eames are saying is that we must have that identity, Indian identity. Whatever is produced from here must have the mark of India. If today some product from Japan comes, you immediately know. This is, it looks like the Japanese product because it is small, it is efficient, it is very strong like the Japanese. Similarly, there should be a cultural identity of products which you make. That is what they are saying. Lota, you don't stick to Lota which is in the past, but come to the present and a product which is strongly identifiable as Indian, should be there. That is what he says, lotus of present time. The next he says, problems of plenty versus problems, plenty of problems. You see this? America's problem at that time, I'm talking about 1958 when this report was submitted, is a problem of plenty. There is so much of money everywhere. So they don't know what to do. The hippiism and many other cults have come as a result of it because mindless plentiness. So Charles Sims said, India fortunately has not a problem like that. India's problem is different. What is India's problem? And he said that is the advantage. We have plenty of problems at the need based. Water, shelter, food. India is plenty of them. So he said Indian designers don't have to look for problems anywhere else. Whereas in the West, where there is opulence, the term opulence you must have heard, because of the opulence, they don't know what to do with their money. The designers don't know what to design. How many times they keep on making it a little bit more beautiful, little bit more beautiful, little bit more beautiful. So there is no real problem. But whereas here we have real problems like the oxygenator I talked about. Oxygenator is first time import substitution. So we don't have to depend on such life-saving machine, medical equipment to other countries. That kind of problems are plenty here. So that's what is problems of plenty versus problem of the plenty of problems. The third one is culture of creative destruction. This is a very interesting thing. Nowhere else except in Indian culture this happens. Destruction is seen as good thing. Who will worship otherwise the god of death? Shiva is god of death. But we still worship because we see that death is part of birth. You can, without having an outlet, you try to put water in a pipe. Unless there is an outlet, you can't keep on putting water. Yeah, unless it goes out somewhere. So this cyclicity has to be maintained. Only Hinduism knows about it because that destruction, we realized that destruction is part of construction. Everything, now today we are crying about pollution, crying about many other evils because we have only thought of production and we have not thought of destruction. So Eames says, India has a culture of destruction. Why are you not looking at it? Why are you simply madly copying the West? So that is the another idea he has given, that these three things, lotus of present time, plenty of problems, and creative destruction are our main advantages. So this is what Eames said in a report of 1958. Next. Then we will come to another great woman, hails from another illustrious family of Sarabhais. Vikram Sarabhai, we must have all heard, the father of Indian space research. And she is the sister of the Sarabhai family. She and her brother, the one who is with the beard, is Gautam Sarabhai, her elder brother. They both have together started National Institute of Design in 1961. There are all kinds of problems, and this lady is so good. For everything she found an answer. And she finally she realized the importance of design at so early time. So she wanted to have the National Institute of Eminence in Ahmedabad and not in Hyderabad. Yeah, first the government was thinking of establishing it in Hyderabad because Hyderabad is central to the country. But the Sarabhais have realized the importance of that. Doesn't matter whether it is not central, but Ahmedabad is also craft city. We will have it there. She has they bought the land, 20 acres with 1 rupee. There are all stories about it, but I won't go into it. We will talk about it later. But Geraben is so good, and I studied under her. I mean, she used to mentor us. the wonderful thing about her is she brings, if there is a best man in the world anywhere, she will spend any amount of time to bring them to Ahmedabad, to NID, to teach us. So we have the legendary people teaching us. Charles Sims, Katya Bresson, Nakashima, Buckminster Fuller, all these names you hear today, they are luminaries of that time. Geraben has that vision to bring them all to NID and teach us. She was making what we call cohorts of that time. She is making teachers to teach, because without teachers, how can education will flourish? So what she did is, there was another problem. The problem is how to find students and teachers for an unknown occupation. Design, nobody knew. Even today, many people know, but at that time, I was talking about in 1960s, very few people know what design is, and nobody will go to study. So what she did is, if we don't have people applying for it, why can't we take engineers who are not interested in engineering? I was one of them. And artists who are not interested in art, they are interested in science and technology. That is the beautiful thing, because these are all actually dropouts. I am a dropout. I studied engineering, but my heart is never in engineering. Similarly, all my friends, Mr. Rao, Mr. Chattopadhyay, etc., etc. She said, we should look for these kind of dropouts. We should look for, so from MS University and Shantiniketan, she has got some people and who are interested in science, because as you all know, design is a marriage of science and art. So to find this animal who is art and science combination is difficult. So she did this. She said anybody who is interested can apply. But she also said, you will be thrown out if you find you are not suitable. And instead of interviewing who will go to Ahmedabad, I was at that time in Bobili, and Raigada, I was working as engineer at JK organization, a big company. But I was not interested in engineering. So I applied there. She, instead of asking me to go to Ahmedabad, I would have never gone, because it is so far away, who will go? But she said, we will come to you. So the interviewers have been sent all over the country to interview the prospective candidates at their place. So they have come closer to Bobili, that is Calcutta or Hyderabad, like that. They have gone everywhere, and they have selected the students. And we have, with half heart, we have joined there. But then some people have left, some people have stayed there. Then who will teach us? Because there are no teachers in the country. So at that time, what she did, she has made contacts with all the great institutions like Royal College of Art, like Central St. Martin's, like every great institution and every great name in the field of art and design. She brought them to NID. Fortunately, the person on the extreme right is Douglas Ensminger. He is a Ford Foundation fellow. Ford Foundation has funded all our trips to these great people to come here, but they are not teachers. What do you do? So Geraben also has another idea. Okay, they are not teachers, but they are designers. No? Ask these people like me and others, my colleagues, ask them to work under them as an apprentice. So we all worked as apprentice. We were not taught. We were made to do this thing, that thing, and while doing that, we picked up. This is how craftsmen work. No? Craftsmen, they don't have textbooks and all that. They will allow you to do work, correct you while you are doing that work. That way, under these great stalwarts of the world, we have learned our education. And this is a wonderful kind of experiment. And we are fortunate to be at that time there. The other thing is, The Cold War was going on at that time, and Pandit Nehru's non-alignment policy has worked because you keep America also in good humor and Russia also in good humor. So America also helps you, Russia also helps you. So that has kind of helped. Therefore, Ford Foundation supported us. I went to Royal College of Art because of that, and my colleagues and also went to some great schools in the world. And another thing Geeraben insisted on is experimentation. The experimentation is the key to design. We have at that time, nobody has heard of, I'm talking about 1960s. David Tudor have come and he has produced electronic music. Even today we don't have. Moog synthesizer in the whole country, only NID used to have. I don't know whether they have it now. But all these experiments have been done at that time because she's interested in geodesic dome, which Buckminster Fuller has kind of started. Freyato's suspension structures. All this, Geeraben was interested and she brought them there. And even today, there is a geodesic dome, Calico Dome, it is called, in Ahmedabad. And this is another beautiful idea by Ivan Sharmayev. At that time, we were encouraged because of the Prime Minister's interest. They said, why don't you work on this project, Indian Pavilion at the Osaka World Fair? So this is proposed by, we worked under Ivan Sharmayev, who is an excellent graphic designer from America. So this is the proposal for that he worked out. And you see, from outside itself, it looks so beautiful. This is the Indian Pavilion, which is a tensile, it's worked on a tensile structure. Ivan Sharmayev and Freyato have worked on this. Now we come to another great lady, and I talked to her only yesterday, and he sends her wishes. Rati Vinay Jha. When Vinay Jha was executive director of NID, his wife, another IAS officer, she was in secretary to take the textile minister. You see, as you all know, NID is, even today, NID is not under Ministry of Education. NIFT is also not under Ministry of Education. So where are they under? Under Ministry of Commerce and Industries is NID, and under Ministry of Textiles is Fashion Institute. That is why we don't have to follow UGC rules at that time. Now I don't know what is happening, because if you want a kind of degree and all that, probably you have to go to UGC. NID for all these years have kind of refused to become a university because of this reason. But anyway, we will not go into that. But Rati Vinay Jha's main contribution is that she said she will do with a bang she will start, because the Indian garment industry is in doldrums at that time. We are not able to export and convince you see, we wear saris and our dresses are different. How will we enter into the global market? Rati said, no, we will have to enter into it. So she said, first of all, education is the primary kind of resource for anything to develop. She said, we will have National Institute of Fashion Technology, which will look at garments, functional garments, fashion garments, and accessories. These three, she said, we will, but we will not start with, like NID started as a one school. She said, no, that won't work. We will start all the schools at a time. So she started with at least 8 NIFTs in the country. Now today, NIFTs have grown up to 17, including one in Sikkim, one outside the country. I don't remember which one. But there are 17 NIFTs today because of her vision. She has got this, but they must have a standard. Who will maintain the quality? This is very important. Her vision is very good. So she had a director general kind of structure, administrative structure. Under the director general, the other directors will follow. So there is a kind of common thing. And there is also admissions have been taken very, very strictly not to be corrupted. Like NEET, this has happened recently. She said she's established a kind of admission process which is so good. Till today, there is no scam or nothing about NIFT admissions. Also, these are common admissions everywhere. So, but with all good ideas, you have to have somebody to force it kind of very, very, very strongly. And she was supported by, Rati Vinay is supported by Popul Jaikar, and Popul Jaikar's access to Prime Minister's office, and then Indira Gandhi. Because of this support, she could go further, but she was explaining me yesterday that even NIFT was almost closed down because they said it's an elite thing. Fashion is an elite thing. Why India needs India with so many people are dying of hunger, so many people are dying of without shelter and all that. So Rati has to stand all of it and prove them that fashion also could be useful to everybody. And today, if you see, we are hearing of sustainable fashion. We are hearing of, yesterday only in Hindu, there is an article saying that fashion from waste. Like India also has a culture of applique work. Applique work is nothing but taking all the cut pieces and making a quilt out of it. So India has that tradition. There people are working on no waste garments. So you have a garment, you don't throw away anything. That one which is excess will be also made into something else. So these ideas have come because Mrs. Jha has pursued them and stood her ground very well. Today, institutes of fashion are flourishing in this country because of Rati Vinay Jha and the support she's got. Kamala Chaudhary, she's a grand old lady. She actually could have been the first director of Indian Institute of Management of the world. But they say politics are always politics. We don't like a woman as the head. So she was not, she was only acting in the beginning. But anyway, she's a great lady. Afterwards, she didn't took that to heart. Afterwards, she's actively supporting Indian Institute of Management in their governing body. And she was also on the governing body of the NID. And once I remember that NID Governing Council meeting, she very, very, very strongly told the director, and she can tell because she has that kind of aura and that kind of power. She said, how old is your curriculum? At that time it was 1990, I was talking about, nearly 30 years after NID. She blasted saying that, are you joking? After 30 years, you are still following the same curriculum? So we all said, no, madam, it's a very good curriculum. However good a curriculum is, whatever is good day before yesterday is not good today. You have to go through it regularly, at least every 2 years. So she forced us. She made me as kind of head of the group. We formed a group immediately. And for next 3 years, we worked on the curriculum of NID. And we finally came up with a new curriculum. Earlier, as many of you may know, earlier NID used to be 5.5-year program. A long period. And every parent used to complain. Particularly girls' parents. They want to get their girls married fast in those days. Now the situation may be different. But the parents used to complain, but NID used to say, no, if you want to have a good education, you need 5.5 years. 1.5 years foundation itself. So we have got through it, we have kind of consulted parents, scientists, artists, all the administrators, all kinds of people, and finally we made it. Yeah, with a lot of I came to attack a severe criticism was leveled against me, but finally we made it into 4 years. Today, I am glad everywhere in the country the 4-year program stands. There are still rumblings. My friends say, Balram, you spoiled the whole thing for the whole country. You made it into 4 years. See the quality. Don't blame me, because the quality, less quality is not just because it's made 4 years. Less quality will be happen even if 10 years you keep it and you have a bad faculty. See, we must understand this. If the faculty is bad, the education will be bad. Students are students. Never blame the student for the quality of work. Certainly it's the faculty who are responsible for the quality. We have one dear student of mine. She was my student in industrial design, Poonam Bir, Professor Bir's daughter. She's a Punjabi lady but married a South Indian, Kasturi. She kind of, so far what I have talked are all institutions of the government, state initiated. She went to Bangalore and she and Geeta Narayanan together, they started Srishti School of Art and Design. It's one of the best private schools in the country today. Till today, I can still say the best private school, in my opinion. So she started that. Of course, independent voices are very difficult to carry on. Of course, she couldn't stay long with Srishti. She left Srishti, but then she was to do something meaningful. By that time, she was already suffering with a terrible disease called lupus, blood cancer. But still, she has such a courage, and I admire Poonam. She died only recently. She started want to save the environment. So she started something called Daily Dump. Every woman can do it if you do. So she started that project, and she has caught on. Yeah. Online and offline, she used to advocate this, how you can use your daily vegetable waste as a manure and all that. So that way, I think she deserves a mention. This is Poonam Bir Kasturi. And the last in my this thing is that there is one, again, a foreign lady. Yeah, I am not discriminating between foreign ladies and Indian ladies, but all ladies are ladies. Whoever works for India are Indian. Like Mother Teresa is as much Indian as me and you, and Laurie Baker is as Indian as you and me. Because they worked for India, it doesn't matter where they were born. So Judy Frater fell in love with India, like Laurie Baker fell in love. So she saw, particularly in Rajasthan, the woman's condition is very, very bad in some areas. So she said, particularly for women, I should work. So she stayed in India. Now she is still in India. She said, what would she do? She should do craft. Craft is the one the village women do, because agriculture is not all 12-month occupation. Agriculture is only few months occupation. So rest of the time, what they do? They used to do crafts, and the crafts in the Kutch area are very, very well known. They use the mirror work and all that. So Judy Frater went there. They cannot come to an institution to learn. So the institution has to go to them. You see what a beautiful concept. So Judy Frater said, I will go and have my institution there, where? In Bhuj in Kutch. So the woman can come. If they are somewhere else in Ahmedabad or in Hyderabad or in Delhi, how the woman can come? Because they have to look after their families and their children and domestic work. Many times there is not even a water. So she is one of those women. She said, I will start an institution, voluntary organization called Kala Raksha. He called it Kala Raksha. the name itself suggests you wanted to protect the kala or the art and craft. So Kala Raksha is a big success because what she realized is these women produce beautiful work, but they don't know where to sell. So she said, okay, markets are there. In India, there are markets, but they don't know which is one corner of the country. But outside, there are even bigger markets and bigger money, but they don't know that such a beautiful work is there in Kutch. So she has been educating them how to market their products. Yesterday, while coming on flight, I saw this magazine. There is this Patola sari advertisement in in-flight magazine. So I was so happy to see. There are only 2 weaver families are remaining now in Patan in Gujarat, and they make Patola. Patola is made thread by thread. Of course, the sari would cost you 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs, but it's worth. But I'm happy. Why? Because they must be prosperous enough to put an advertisement in an in-flight magazine. So crafts is not just bichara. It's not a bichara. Crafts, if you kind of work on it, you can make it better. Judy Frater has made it possible for them to tell them that is possible. Afterwards, I did my own little bit in Srinagar. We started Craft Development Institute in Srinagar, but that is for the government. But this is an independent voluntary organization. It's a self kind of sustaining. So this is what, and that covers the women which I wanted to say. These are the pioneers who have started design education in this country, and I hope many such women will come forward in the future, and we will end up with. There is this great Upanishad saying, the full thing I have not written, full thing is that Asatoma Satgamaya, from untruth to truth, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, from darkness to illumination or light, and the last one is Mrityorma Jyotirgamaya. I thought I will end my talk with this little Upanishad kind of prayer. We don't have to start a talk with a prayer, but we can also end the talk with a prayer. Okay, any questions? I will be happy to answer. Okay. The challenges are same. Challenges are challenges, but the way women approach and men approach are different. Because that's how nature has made them. If you remember my mullah story, you see, what does it say? What do you get from that story? What do you get? Any of them? I mean, I won't laugh or I won't condemn it. I will tell you what I get from that story. From that story, I get women are very practical. Women are very kind of down to earth. Men go above the earth. Men look at the sky, women look at the ground. But both are needed. You can't have one without the other. When his wife is asking for firewood, Mullah says, oh, I am thinking of actually global warming. See, this is the difference. Woman is interested in that day whether the family has enough water to drink or not. The men are talking about the floods in the, in the world. So this is, both are needed. You need a larger view or mega view or meta view. You also need down to earth practical view, that immediate problem. So this is the way God created us. Both are needed. Both together only make sense. That's what I said in that Indian situation is that. Is that clear? In fact, I have experience. Once myself, I was in a jury of where to kind of give awards to many entries. There are nearly 200 or so entries have come on interior design. So our team, when we are working, just let us see what is the woman approach and man approach. So we said, you don't show me the name because the name will give away. And you show an interior, and can you guess, is it a male or female? And many times we have found out more than 80%, 90% success. You can say this must be woman's interior design. This must be man's interior design. Because woman's interior design has that kind of meticulous detailing and all that, whereas man's designs have that meta views always. You can see that it will be reflected in the design. But the problems are problems. Solutions are solutions. Both of them work. Okay. Any other question? Yeah.
What inspired you to come into the line of education, design education?
It's a long story. You have to wait. I was kind of writing a book about it, but I will tell you what inspired this. I always wanted to do, like many of you must be also, I wanted to do something different. And engineering, everybody is going for engineering. And my father said, yeah, you go to engineering. And we couldn't afford, because the fees, we couldn't afford even the college fees. BE in those days used to cost quite a lot. Though I got a gold medal in my high school. But my uncle said, no, you can't go, it's too costly. So I have to go for engineering is engineering, now why don't you study diploma? It is 3 years, whereas engineering degree is 4 years or 5 years in those days. So I have gone to diploma. But it doesn't make any difference to me because I was not so keen on, my heart is always in the art. So I was not keen on that. So I was looking for some escape from there. Otherwise, the pay was good. The work is very little because maintenance engineer doesn't have anything to do. As long as the machines are working, only once in a while there will be a problem, you have to attend, that's all. But I got so bored. And see, look at this, getting bored at 22, 21, 22, terrible, no? So I was looking to jump out to something else. Otherwise, I would have gone to a writer. I thought I will write. I used to write short stories and things like that, some cartoons and Andhra Prabha, Andhra Patrika, Krishna Patrika I used to publish. So that is how I entered into it. So this sense of, I always want to do some sense of quality, adventure, whatever it is. That's how I landed up in Ahmedabad. But what is the learning in this for you is that always do what your heart tells you to do. Whether it is selecting a partner for life or whether it is selecting a job, selecting an educational career. Don't go. If everybody is rushing there, don't go. That is the last thing to do. This is what Dhruv Rathi, that fellow who made crores of viewers on YouTube. You follow Dhruv Rathi? Dhruv Rathi made a YouTube thing on education. He says precisely this. Don't rush where everybody is rushing because it's going to be a bubble which will burst. You can be sure of it. It happened with management courses. It happened with engineering. It will happen with any profession. So where there are less crowd, go there. And that is if your heart likes it. If your heart likes it, there are more chances that you will excel in it. If you excel in it, there are more chances that you will become something in that field. So first, at your age, probably you will not know where your heart is. That's a problem. I've also gone through it. At your age, I don't know. Maybe I will run a little bit this and no, I don't think this is my area. You go to something else. But don't be unnerved about it. That is normal. This confusion, oh, I'm so confused, I'm confused. Many students come to me. They said they're almost frustrated about it. I said, don't get frustrated. I've also gone through it. You will come over it. Just stay with the confusion for a while. Confusion is good. Confusion is not bad. Don't look for clarity every time. It's not necessary. Chaos sometimes is good. In creativity, all creativity is chaos. I have done many mistakes in life. One of the mistakes I'm happy about is choosing an idea. Yeah, at that time everybody thought, my mother thought, you are crazy, you are leaving a good job, and a guy waiting for you to marry with some 10 lakhs or so. In those days, 10 lakhs is like 10 crores. And you are going away from here and so far away. So, but I did it. So somewhere you have to go to take kind of a leap and take some kind of risk. Without taking risk, life is not worth. Anything else? Give it a time if you are going through confusion, and it will settle down. The dust will settle down, and soon you will know, okay, this is where it is. I have several stories like that to tell you. So discovering yourself is important. You find out where your real interest lies and stick to it. Stick to it. The fruits will not come immediately. When I plant it today, I won't expect fruits, but fruits will come over. Yeah? Anything else? Yeah.
So, I was thinking about the future of the pedagogy that these women pioneers have put forward. So, would you please throw some light on that?
On the future of?
Pedagogy
Oh.
of these pioneers, women pioneers.
Oh.
Would you please throw some light on?
You see, yeah. Okay, it's a good question. Maybe I have missed it. You take particularly Rati, who started NIFT, and NID, Giraben, who started NID. Rati initially started with a collaboration with a foreign FTI, Fashion Technology Institute in America. So they hand-holding, FTA used to do the hand-holding, but they were not happy because that is not suitable to our situation. So she then, we should not have one institution, but we should have everybody. So then she collaborated with institutions from France, from England, from America, from everywhere, not only just one institution. And then the Indian team has to work to make it Indianized. The context is very important. Whereas Giraben has taken another kind of route. Giraben has taken to world's stalwarts to come to India and give their wisdom to the students. So this is a kind of different kind of approach. So the Giraben's approach is one kind where the teachers have been developed, whereas Rati Vinayja's pedagogic approach is totally different. And both are surviving today, both are working all right. Yeah. So this is how the pedagogic approaches are different. Whereas Kiran Veer, Poonam Veer's sister, also in Ahmedabad, she started Riverside School with a totally different kind of yeah, conception. So these are different, and what I am saying is probably if the men have started that, they would have handled it differently.
But Bauhaus, obviously, it's men, right?
Bauhaus is all men. Yeah,
So,
okay. There you are.
yeah.
Bauhaus is all men. Basically. There's only one woman. But yeah, so it reflects on the kind of curriculum which they come up with.
So do you think NIT had more crafts, probably because there were more women?
You could say that there are more women, particularly textiles. Textiles is, except Kurmarao, there are all others are women, including Helena Perintova. And therefore they are in a certain way, the textiles of NID, they're in that way. Nelly Setna is also woman. So these are all kind of, it's woman dominated area. So the color schemes and the kind of textiles which they have come there are different. But the woman aspect here was talking about all famous fashion designers who made some name. They're all feminist, if you see. Whether it is David or whether it is Thakur or whether it is Rajiv Sethi or whether it is someone else, they all have this feminism in them. As I'm saying, every male has a female in him and every female has a male in them. So these are kind of, I don't dismiss them and there is nothing wrong in that.
Okay. Okay, I think we'll take one or two more questions and
So I have a question. Generally, the color, the gene which dependent on for the color is X chromosome, and the women have developed X chromosome. Generally, it's said that women can see more colors, almost double colors than men. So there are certain departments in design or disciplines where we see more women compared to certain departments. For example, graphic, textile, or certain other fields. You will see there are more women designers, and there are fields which have more male designers. Is there any correlation because of the biology? Or
Possible. But you see, limitation is not necessarily bad. Limitation could be good. There are blind painters who have done wonderful work. So it is like that. So all that we both are agreeing is that the woman sees little differently than the men see. And that's it. And both are actually valid. A man called Henry Cartier-Bresson, you must have heard of him, is a famous photographer, one of the great photographs, which I like most. But he worked all his life only with black and white photography, although after, by the time he is doing color photography has entered in, but he said, no, I will only use black and white. And he produced marvelous photographs in black and white. So that's not a limitation, but it is a kind of, he used it as a kind of his style. See, so it has got its own beauty, that the recognition of that, it's not because today there is color, let us use color. In fact, Satyajit Ray has been criticized for making a film called Ashani Shanket in color. And Ashani Shanket is all about the main topic of that film is about the female. And you are talking about poor people and their pangs of hunger, and you are showing it in color. How does it make sense? So a criticism had come. So there is always a kind of appropriateness in everything and a beauty in the way you use it. Ritwik Ghatak has never made a color film, yet his films are great films.
Okay, we
Yeah.
have one more question.
Right. Last question.
Okay.
No? Huh?
Do you suggest design as a subject in school curriculum to kids to get?
No, I have to come a little forward. Sorry, little louder. Or
Do
you
you suggest design
As a subject?
as a subject in school curriculum?
To create curiosity for the kids in design?
Wonderful question. Yeah, absolutely. But we've been dying to do that. But you see, the problem is, we all know the poor kid has been burdened with so many new things. So if you have to put design also, then where will he end up? Something has to be dropped. But so that is something which for the educators to and the planners to do it. But it's absolutely a good idea. In fact, in England they have been doing it. The reason is it's not because I am designer, so design should be there. Because when you are young, you are more creative. As you grow older, the reasoning will dominate your imagination. See, imagination, man needs imagination as well as intellectual reasoning, rationality, what we call. But both should be in balance. See, you can't have only one thing, but when you are kids are more creative because of that. A famous painter called Picasso, I'm sure you must have heard of him, Pablo Picasso. He had one famous quote saying that at the age of 13, I used to draw excellent portraits and excellent paintings. The rest of my life, this fellow lived up to 99. Rest of my life, he said while he was 99, he made this comment. Rest of the life, I was trying to paint like a child. I was not able to. So what he means in this is that to get that freshness of the child of looking at things is not easy. So as you grow, you become kind of tough and hard and set and all that. All these things are also necessary, but they are kind of some of the basic tenderness, etc., have been cut off because of that. So therefore, design is most beautifully suited for a very young age. But this is, if I am the educator and if I am the planner, I would certainly introduce it at the primary school level. The other one is started at the what we in my book. I mentioned about barefoot design. How to take design to the villages. Village people are not dumb. They are imaginative. If you know about this effort which Anil Gupta is doing it in Ahmedabad, he goes to villages and Honeybee Network, you must have heard of it. They collect the ideas, beautiful, innovative ideas from villages, and they put them together. So there are wonderful ideas which have come, and some of them are actually made into reality. Because villages, because they don't know how to read and write, and they have that Anguta Chapu, doesn't mean that they don't have imagination. Everybody is equipped with imagination. So children are more kind of fond of imagination. As they grow up, we keep on killing that imagination, saying that don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, cover these words, and they make them not to try anything and not to experiment anymore. That another thing I mentioned about Gira Ben is that she used to encourage experimentation. NID dome you have seen, I don't know how many people realized it. If you ever go to NID, see the dome. 40 feet by 40 feet dome, a huge dome without any iron reinforcement. It's only brick on brick on brick. When it was made, and it was made in 1960, it is unimaginable, and the masons refused to work on it. It's a suicide, sir. No, when you lift this dome up, it will fall. It didn't fall. Not only at that time in 1960, in 2003, when there was a great earthquake in Gujarat, also the dome remained like that and it didn't fall. That means at that time itself, Giraben was encouraging that kind of innovativeness. So innovativeness is a kind of quality which all of us should have in everything we do. Yeah? Okay. Thank you so much for listening to this.